Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Intellectual Voice Podcast, episode 5. We're here with the usual cast of people, and normally we'd be talking about how we want to die because school just started. But due to various fires in the area, that hasn't happened yet. So we won't sound like we wanted to go to sleep in this video. Anyways, we're gonna start with one of my topics first. So, drug testing in schools, right? That's been like a debated topic between mostly parents. Students haven't really cared about it, obviously. But parents are saying that more recently they've seen their children's classmates like doing suspicious activity, and obviously they're not okay with their kids being in that general area. So they wanted to start doing drug tests in schools like annually, like once every year or something. What do you guys think about that?
I'm okay
That's
with
a good
that.
thing.
Yeah, I'd probably be for it.
Yeah,
So
that sounds good.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
okay, how to work?
what would it consist? Yeah, like what would it consist of? Like what would the
I,
actual test be?
because right now we just have like the drug dog, like.
Yeah.
What would you what would you do? Is it like I don't even know how a regular drug test
Or
works.
is it like a urine or like blood, just like thing? I don't
I
know
think
how
it-
it works.
Maybe
Should it be through like
Blood.
all ages though, or should it just be like high school?
I think
I-
high school.
I think just high school.
I think it should be middle school
Yeah.
too.
I was gonna say
mean-
maybe middle school, like maybe start it for like, for some middle schools that start like 6th grade, or even some of the other schools that are like literally like kinder to like 8th grade, because some schools do that. I
Are
mean,
you sure?
yeah, there's some schools that do that. I'm not sure if they're in our district, but
Well, what if like in an elementary school like there's a kid's parents or some kid's parents like abuse drugs like and then it picks up the scent on the kid. That wouldn't affect his test, right? Like if he did a test.
well, not if it's like
No.
if it's
No,
like
as
blood or
long as he
urine.
doesn't. Yeah.
If it's like the drug dog and it's like, oh, we smell drugs on this kid, it's like it's not the kid.
Yeah. If they just
Whoa.
smell it, I'd imagine they test them, but then when they get the results, it's not gonna show anything.
Yeah.
What's the difference between like a drug dog and then actually doing a drug test? Like what are the benefits?
You would see if a student is actually taking those kinds of drugs.
yeah.
Instead of just having
Yeah.
them on him?
Whereas a dog is just like this student may have just been around it.
Well, maybe
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the dog could like. What if someone's like dealing it, right? But they don't take it themselves. Like I think doesn't the dog help? The dog help like.
Well, yeah,
stop
you wouldn't
the
get rid of
source?
the dog, but I mean, if it was like a choice as in, okay, do you have the drug dog, or the drug test? I mean, honestly,
Like-
I would still go for the drug test.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
I
would say
probably-
the
It's
same.
probably better to have the drug dog though, like in terms of how much it costs.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
cost wise, it's definitely better. But
Yeah.
do you think drug tests are necessary?
Yeah.
I say
Well,
yes,
and-
and
Yeah.
just
in
because
some
of this-
districts, I feel
Yeah,
like.
because I remember back in my school over in LA, like they had kind of frequent drug dogs coming onto the campus, and like usually they never found anything. But then like I remember I was in the dean's office for something, and he was telling me how like students like they hide drugs like in the trash cans like right before like their period starts, and then they just like grab it like out on their way out or like to another class, or they have someone else pick it up. And
That's like, how does that work? Like, that's not. I think
They
like
like plan it out.
I think it should happen in
yeah, they plan
well,
it out.
Yeah, 'cause it
Centennial,
doesn't-
right? Like, there's no way if it was select schools, there's no way they'd be like, oh yeah, Centennial needs this. But like, we know it happens. Like we've seen
Yeah, we've
suspicious activity around the
Oh, yeah.
school, right? So should it be just select or should it be all of them? Because like,
I mean,
If it's on I'd say the problem with Centennial's on a smaller scale than other schools.
yeah, I mean, like we
Yeah.
wouldn't need it as much, but I mean, like if it was like, oh, you wanted to really promote like a healthier lifestyle, I'd be like, yeah, just do it for every district. But obviously that wouldn't be possible because of possible costs, like the difference in cost from just using like a drug dog to like actually taking like a test for it, like whether that be and like getting it like that part of the test like sampled and examined.
oh yeah, I guess
Like-
that's true.
So
Even if you do get like tested for drugs, like what are they gonna do to you? Are they gonna like rehabilitate you, or are they just gonna send you
Oh,
off to prison?
I'm pretty
yeah.
sure
What's the
they
punishment?
won't.
Well,
No, I'm pretty sure they talk to like your parents, of course, about it, and I'd imagine they'd like suspend you.
No,
yeah,
but
I
like
don't think they'd ever send you to prison.
all
Yeah,
parents would be like, "Yo, my little Jimmy would never do something like that." But I think that's dumb to talk to the parents. I think just see how much is in there, and then
well,
like.
Well,
I feel
a
like you
good
have
parent-
to, because you got to show them like what their
Well,
kids
okay, yeah,
doing.
that's true. But they shouldn't base the
Yeah.
punishment off of what the parents say.
Yeah, I get that.
Usually the parents are abusive too, so they'll just play it off like, "Oh, my son's all right. We're doing fine." And then when they get back home, it's all like, "You
Listen, that might
Right.
happen. Okay, so like, is it just suspension or should it be expulsion? Well, maybe not expulsion.
No, there's
Well,
like
I think it
programs set in other
depends.
schools, right?
I would say it would have to depend on what the drug is. Not saying like a drug, like taking drugs is drugs. Like there's like they have to be punished for it, right?
Mm.
And there could also be another argument of like, well, it's still a drug. Like they should each have the same exact punishment, or, should the punishment be based on like how serious the severity of the drug is? Because the thing is, like, all drugs are pretty serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, depending on, I guess, which one would be like more life threatening or whatever, should be like, like you're no longer should be able to go to school for the rest of the year, and instead you're just gonna go to rehab.
I think
And-
I agree with that. The more severity thing, like it makes more sense to have a higher punishment for that, or just repetition. Like if you get caught doing it, and then you get suspended, and then you still get caught doing it, then you should be expelled, even
Yeah.
if it is something minor.
Yeah.
I don't know. That topic's weird. There's a lot of like, the stuff I was looking at. There was a lot of information with it. Like the parents were getting confused. Oh,
Oh.
speaking of misinformation, James.
All right, my topic is now in the past couple of years we've been getting, or there's been a lot more misinformation, or as some people call it, fake news, and I feel like I feel like it is kind of becoming a problem because there are a lot of sites that publish this fake news, but just to either like, what's it called? I don't know how to say it, but trying to like slander someone or like
Yeah.
some organization, and like they're really not telling the truth. Like I remember there's like a CNN thing where they like staged this whole thing and said it was like a rally or something, and then people were recording them like setting it up, and I don't know. I just think like fake news is kind
Oh.
of.
Are you talking about that clip where like they had like this little poster and they had like two guys holding it, and then they were recording him, like the reporter in front of it?
No. They like, it was like a CNN group. They were like directing this whole like,
Oh.
it was like a dozen people holding like signs and stuff like protesting.
Oh yeah, I heard
something.
about that.
Oh.
Yeah, and people saw them like directing it and stuff.
I don't think
I've
the people
seen.
that like release those articles, I don't think they're purposely trying to slander. I think they're just dumb, if I'm being honest. Like sometimes stuff is said as a joke, and we all know it's a joke, but from an outside point of view, they're like, "Hey, what was that?" They're so quick to point out the negatives that they don't realize what they're actually saying.
And also, I know a lot of it too is like clickbait, or just
Oh yeah.
something to grab eyes, just so you can get more people on your site.
I think that's most of it, actually. Why wouldn't you want to like publish something fake just so you can get more views on your website?
But why is it always gotta be negative, dude?
Because that's what gets the attention.
That
right?
yeah, you have to catch someone's attention. It's just a business.
That's true. I think this has always been an issue, but now people are actually calling them out for it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like, yeah, everything's the same. Like on Snapchat, there's always stuff like that. Like he did what? Question mark! Exclamation point.
Yeah,
Like,
even just like YouTube.
it's
Or even
annoying.
like movie trailers and stuff. It's like it shows something different, but it's like, oh, it's like a deleted scene.
I don't think movie trailers do it that badly.
Well,
though.
it's not like that badly, but I'm just saying like
And movie
it's
trailers.
it's kind of
they
like
do
a
it-
like a thing like to grab your attention. It's like, oh,
yeah.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
It's like-
They want
Well,
you
well,
to-
yeah, that's
exactly. They want you to like to view their product.
But I don't see no wrong in that. That is from the movie.
Like, like that's supposed to be for the movie, but when you're doing it to like news sources, it like
Yeah.
loses all
Where
credibility.
you say
Yeah.
like something like, "Oh, Trump just like fired this person just because he wanted to," and then like you figure out the real like what actually happened, then like I don't know, it's
Yeah.
kind of like messed up.
The trailer is just a trailer for the movie. Like you can't.
Yeah, I see
There's
your
no
point.
information in it. Yeah, it's just from that standpoint.
I remember seeing this question online. It's all like, do you think there's a dangerous mix of entertainment and like real news?
Yes, I completely agree with that statement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Like
mean,
anybody can say something and they'll believe it.
like the news should inform, even if it's boring or like, but like it's important. Like they should be reported, but it's more focused on like, okay, how do you get more views? You don't report actual news. You just report controversial stuff and then blow it up to a point where it's like you can kind of like stretch it out for multiple days.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Like there's I think recently it was like the NFL thing.
Oh yeah.
Like they'll be like, "Oh, they're not doing this or whatever," but it's like they're like most if not all of them are US citizens. Like they have rights to protest and stuff. Like they can do that. And
I
it's
think
just
the issue was
they'll just
should
try
they
to blow it up
protest
as much as possible so they can just get more coverage on it for as long as they can.
Yeah, speaking of that whole kneeing thing, I don't see the issue. Like, they can,
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
if they can knee if they want to. Like, if they really think, I don't. Wait, why do they knee? I don't
It's a
actually.
I
know.
remember it rooted from like this one. I forget which football player it was, but like he was hanging out with like some veteran, and the veteran said how on the battlefield people would kneel, like to honor their fallen soldiers. So the football player did it. Like a couple of the footballers did it, and then that's when it like started to
Put to
blow
honor
up.
who?
Like dead soldiers.
Why? Why?
What do you mean?
Veterans.
What do you
bro,
mean they
I
fight
mean-
for the country?
No, wait, but like, I mean, I don't know.
It's
Why
just
is it,
symbolism.
why is it
It's
exclusive to NFL though? Shouldn't it be all sports doing that? Like that? I thought it tied
No,
to
I
something
mean-
in
For
NFL.
all we know, other sports could be doing it, but we
Yeah,
wouldn't
it's just
know
that it
because we
happened
just
then.
We only see the football stuff happen.
because that's the one that's exploded the
but-
most.
I guess.
Well, what is Saban?
I mean, that's where it happened. It's not necessarily that it only happens in the NFL. It's just happened that way.
That's weird
Yeah.
how we only see it happening in the NFL though. Like from like.
No, I
news
mean it may
coverage,
not have
saying.
happened. Oh well, like all right.
I think that's kind of dumb. You laughing? Listen, dude, I don't know anything about this subject. That's why I'm asking.
No, I know, but yeah, it's just funny.
That's as much as I know from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I remember one of our classmates did a presentation on it, and it sounded pretty good. Like, except the reasoning was different. Now that I
What
remember
was their
it.
argument?
Their argument was, I think it was about like black oppression. I'm pretty
like
sure.
police brutality.
Yeah. That was it. Police brutality, and they kneeled because they were against that. Like, yeah.
I mean, either way, like there's like I get it's the national anthem. I get it's like the Pledge of Allegiance and stuff, but I mean like no one's gonna listen to them online until they make a slip up where they say something just out of like frustration or something from like some
Yeah.
ignorant person, and then that thing's gonna blow up. They're like, oh, they called some person an idiot, and it's like, oh, well,
These
that's
people
not.
are calling them idiots. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, like these like NFL professionals are calling like fans idiots. It's like, well, no, that's not the thing. It's like, they're trying to make like something that should be public and should be protested against because, or like at least bring attention to something else.
Yeah.
So the best way for them to do it, since most people like will watch football, and they will see all the plays because they always do that like close and shot in the beginning, is their best way of doing it, and to spread that like attention around is just to kneel for it, which I see no problem with.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it either. The media is like, we need to fix. How do you fix the media? Is there even a way to
can't.
fix the media?
You can't.
Because it's just people's expression, right?
If you restrict it,
Either
then you're
way,
crossing like free speech. And then
Well,
that would be another argument of like, how free would free speech be?
I think the better question would be how do we stop people from being stupid?
I
There's
that's
always
actually
gonna
you're
be
right,
stupid
you're right.
people.
yeah, but nowadays, dude, like, have you seen the stuff that's been happening? Oh my god, like the whole ninja thing where he said he didn't want to stream with another girl because of the trauma,
Like, see, dude,
Well, I
and
mean,
everyone's like, "Oh my god,
he's sexist,
ninja
dude.
sexist!"
Oh my.
Question mark!
yeah.
Exclamation point! Like,
Well, I mean, I
It's
think
just
you
not
should
their
just.
preference. Yeah, it's like just let the
Yeah.
man be. You know.
I mean, most of his fans are like 9-year-olds that just go along with each other.
well,
Well,
yeah, and they're easily influenced by people like him and the media, what they
Yeah,
see on there.
but the thing is also though is that the internet, dude, you can't take anything seriously. Like internet is
That's
just
true.
it's like toxic culture and like meme culture or like a joking
Yeah.
culture.
Like
So
one of the good arguments I heard for like the ninja thing was like, just look at other streamers when there's like a female on there. Like as soon as like the chat or like the audience sees a female, the whole chat just flips out. It's
Dude.
like, yo, can I have her Instagram? Yo, and it's
yeah, like
like
it's
he just wants to avoid that. Just like
yeah. And on top of that, like they don't have control over like 50,000 people. Like they don't have that power.
Yeah. And especially since technology's gotten so big lately, I feel like a lot of people now just look at like the first article they see, like
Just
ninjas
believe
is
it.
sexist, and they're just like, oh yeah, I can't believe he's a sexist.
Oh, for sure. But
No
even
one
then,
like
Like, oh yeah, that makes sense.
but even to go a step further, it's like even if people do their own research, besides looking at like an article title,
Mhm.
it's like, they can read one article, but like all the information is total like lies, and then they'll take it because they're like, oh, I did some research, I read this one article, but it's only that article, and then like everyone else is like, that's literally the only article that's all lie, like, and then they'll show up like 5 other articles like these are the ones that are true, you know.
yeah.
So it's like,
But no, I like this article. Sorry.
yeah, exactly. So it's like yeah, it's not even like to the point where it's just like the title anymore. I think it's more of like, oh, it's just so bad at this point where it's like there can even be whole articles that are just like false or like fabricated even.
I feel like people are given their opinions lately. Like they don't think of their own opinion. Like as soon as they see like a popular opinion, or not even a popular one, just like an opinion on something, they'll automatically like
I feel
cling
like
to that.
that's because people don't have enough like. I guess that's kind of like a first world problem.
How?
Like,
Well, yeah.
grab other people's opinions because you don't have your own problems to form your opinions about. So when
Mm.
other people bring their problems into your life, it's like you kind of have to.
But then
That's true.
would that go would but when you say like you wouldn't be able to form your own opinion though, like do you mean just from like lack of information or like just from the lack of
Lack
Like
of
problems.
trying
Like
to
trying,
form your
okay.
opinion.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because I was gonna say, like, if it's just lack of information, then, like, that's just kind of being a sheep, because you're not contributing anything to to a topic.
yeah.
But if it's just, like, lack of trying, then, I mean, like, that's just a whole different, like, can of worms.
Yeah. All right. So moving on, who do we got here? We got Nano. Now, what do you want to talk about, dude?
Oh, this was, like, a while, I don't remember when I added this, but, well, like, this is pretty,
Yikes.
not, I mean, it could be considered old news. Anyway, what it is that, like, okay, so everyone knows Facebook, right? Like,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
This sucks.
the Zuck. So, Facebook added like the Messenger app, right? A lot of people use it, right? Like, it's a popular app. Like I would even say, like it rivals WhatsApp, and a lot of people use WhatsApp. They added like banking functionality to their app, so like you can like connect your bank to it and like pay people from it or like receive payments and stuff. In theory, it's kind of cool because it's kind of like Android and Apple Pay, right?
Mm.
Or maybe even like the Snapchat thing, right? You can like send money. But the problem is you don't really hear that much about data leaks from those companies, whether or not it could be because they have better security or that, it's just not
Facebook's
publicized as much. But Facebook's the one's been getting a lot of heat because they're like giving other like information out to other people.
Yeah.
So they're under like a microscope, and it's kind of like, I was just on a lot of forums, and people were just kind of like debating You know, it's like it's useful for older people, but for those that don't know, how detrimental would it be? Because
I think this is a bad idea.
now they have everything connected to one app. Now they have pretty much a database of everything. Um, Now I'm not as much informed on Facebook anymore. Like I kind of just stopped following it. So I don't know any changes about the security or anything. But if it were to be breached again, how much information would then be breached since everything is connected?
I'm still hearing about issues from Facebook security. I don't think it's as much, but it's still there. And having everything in one place it's just not a good idea, especially with Facebook. Not something as like
Yeah.
high as security as anything else really. Like
Putting
it's
all your
nice.
eggs in one basket.
Yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
never do that.
That's kind of
Wait,
like the
but-
main thing. It's just like, you know, yeah, there could be a ton of utility with it, but how much is that utility gonna like become a drawback in the longer run?
You know how like the government's all separation of church and state?
Oh my.
Yeah.
So like I believe like you're putting a banking functionality to a social media app and like the risk is just too high. You know, things get leaked to your friends too.
Yeah. And you hear all the time about like social media accounts getting hacked, right? Like there was
Oh yeah.
a while ago, like this was huge. A lot of people were hacking like celebrities' Instagrams, mainly YouTube celebrities' Instagrams. Like
Yeah, and then stealing stuff from like their iCloud and
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine
Yeah.
if they hacked into their Facebook. Like, what are you gonna do then? All your money's gone.
Exactly.
This is not a good idea.
I remember the YouTube one, talking about like, uh, I guess relatively high profile people's like stuff getting hacked. I remember that what like YouTube craze. What was it like? It had to be like 3 years ago. Oh my god. Where like they started taking down like YouTube channels and like deleting all videos and putting just up one video or like changing all the
Yeah.
thumbnails. You guys remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember that was huge. And they're like, oh, just testing security.
Yeah.
That's just a tangent.
They're just gonna do that on Facebook, just testing your security. They get back on, all their money's gone.
Dude, actually, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it's like, oh, just testing security, change your password, and we'll send back all the money. And it's like, but all my money's gone. Like,
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But anybody else have anything to say about that? All right, so we're gonna move on right quick to Dar's topic, right? And by the way, Dar's babysitting right now, so that just in case something happens. All right,
Yeah,
Dar.
dogs, bro. Okay, so the issue of standardized testing, right? Right. Okay, so we all know that, you know, SATs, ACTs, whatever, right? You test and you get a score, and that score determines how good you are. And colleges look at that score, and they, you know, the higher the better, right? But
Yeah.
the issue is that like standardized testing doesn't test like all aspects of a person's intelligence. So like you know how like there's a thing going on that says like, oh, we have multiple intelligences, right?
Mm.
It's not just like
there's not
like
one
visual-
like type of learning.
yeah, there's not one type of learning. So when you test that, like when you standardize tests, it's not accounting for like a person's whole character.
Yeah.
So it gives like the more artsy people like less of an advantage.
So you're saying, would it be in the same test that we incorporate that other stuff though? Or would we make like a separate test for each one and you get to choose or something?
or what
Yeah,
about?
I think we should like have more than just like one type of standardized test. We should have like, you know, more like more tests that account for the different types of intelligences that people have.
And
Now, when you
depending
s-
on. Oh,
Oh wait, no, you were talking first. You can.
Okay, so you're saying depending on like what that person's interested in, they take that test instead of like an SAT
Yeah.
and send that to the college, or maybe just the SAT isn't taken as heavily.
Yeah.
If like the marked preference is like something in the arts.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's like there's more than just like one career path, like going to college. You also have like um, like places where you like you train for a specific type of job.
Mhm.
Okay,
I
yeah,
forgot
so
what it's called. Like it's like a career college or something.
so
Yeah.
like building off of that then, what like for an extreme idea would or should like we ever consider, you know, having specialized schools like high schools and stuff, so they focus on testing if like let's say someone has like a dead set path, like they want to go uh into like performing arts, let's say, right?
Mhm.
Do we do you set up more like creatively based schooling, like
Yeah.
but at the risk of losing standard like knowledge kind of content? Like I don't know how to phrase that, but like you get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
I-
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
kind of get what you're saying.
Like there should
I
still be a set standard, so that like it's like yeah, people might not be um like with math, like they're not like good in that respect, but it does teach them good skills as a core concept. You know, you could be bad at math, but you're still going to learn core concepts within that subject.
So yeah, there's gonna be like, well, I imagine there'd be schools like if we set up new schools that account for these new, like, well, career paths, right? You would you would have like the standard like general language arts, math, but then you have the classes that focus more on the creative side of your, uh, character.
I I don't think that should happen. Well, are we talking about high schools or colleges?
We're
Well,
talking
Like
about,
high schools.
yeah.
I don't think we should be doing that in high schools. I think colleges already do that like well enough. That's what we look up in the first place. Like, oh, schools that are top dog in comp sci, and then you go to that school since they specialize in there.
I think Dar means that though, but to get into the school you want to, and like, say you want to be like, you want to go into arts, right? But
Mhm.
this school, but you still need to get like a high SAT score, but that's not what you're good at.
you just not a
Oh.
test take. You like your mind just can't like do that much like in that like not so much as like if it's coming off like they're being dumb or anything, like not like that. It's just like you know they just think differently.
So we're talking about like just a school, like doing well in that school to get you in the college then, or
Like having specialized school, I think is like the argument he's trying to present.
oh, I mean, I I still I still don't see the purpose in doing that. I
Like
think we
Well, I
should,
mean, say you were really interested in drawing,
yeah.
and to get to this university, you you want to get to it, right? But then you don't have very good SAT scores, you don't get in.
Hmm.
or
But
like
that's not why you want to get in. You don't want to get in because of math or like English or anything, right?
Yeah, you don't want you get in because
And
of
they're
the drawing.
basing it based on something you're not good at or what you don't want to do.
So would you take a different
Even
test in
though I
those
don't
other
think,
schools?
even though I don't think the SAT bears or has that big of an impact on whether you're getting accepted or not,
Yeah.
or at least not as much as we're making it sound like, but it still is a factor, right? But
So we're talking about a different type of test for these specialized schools, right? Or are we not doing a test at
Yeah,
all?
or maybe an additional
like a
one that
different
weighs
type
in
of
more than
test,
SAT.
Yeah, maybe just like different varieties of the tests
Oh.
that
But
don't.
to
providing
keep with
more
what Nano
paths.
said with like the standards, that we should keep some of the standards. Maybe we should keep SATs, but just have another test in addition to it that they try to keep in mind more of if you like mark that you prefer this area.
I think that'd be a lot of money, like to make these kind of schools, and I don't think people
Well,
Yeah,
money like
it's definitely.
yeah, money wise, that's not worth at all. Like, there's no way you're gonna profit off of these different high schools.
Plus,
no,
that
it's
does
not
mean
like I
more
think.
time to grade tests.
Well,
Well, that's not. It's just looking at something. It's not like it's basically just them looking at something else. It's not necessarily like
Well-
building new things.
well, Dar was talking about like specialized schools, like making a different one that's based around that.
A
what about
different
like
school.
a what
Yeah.
if
Like different schools, different tests, just more like more alternatives for people who can't sit in a room and like test take.
So
What if-
oh wait, yeah, you go.
what if there was like a middle ground of like taking one test to determine okay, you give a student like the best possible chance of passing like whatever test they have to take, but by doing it in a way that's like like how do I say it? Like they take like an intelligence test, like you were saying.
Uh-huh.
So they find out like, oh, they are an audio learner. Have them take like an auditory test. That way they have like, there's not that many odds stacked against them, and you can actually see what they like, how they would perform in optimal situations. But then that would bring in like the problem of like, how much longer will that end up taking for like massive schools to actually do like tests in that scale?
Yeah.
I think that should be implemented. I don't I think it shouldn't matter how long it takes. It's gonna take a long time, but that's definitely the best way to test someone's like abilities.
What is?
The like having an audit, like if you're an auditory learner,
Oh,
you take
okay,
that type
yeah.
of test and that stuff. I I don't think it'd take well, I don't would it take more time, right? Because it would be
Cause
split. If you had like 3 types of tests, then a third would take one type, then another third would take another. You could do that all in the same day, because it's not like one person is going to be taking multiple of those tests. They're just going to be taking one, right?
yeah, it would be well like
Yeah.
I don't. It
One
would
they're most
depend.
comfortable with.
Yeah,
It,
that's
it
what
would
I thought.
depend like if they're able to determine with like great accuracy, like, oh, this person just has better time with instructions or whatever, like when they can see what's happening, then it's like um then yeah, one test would be all that it took if it had good accuracy in the results to like, okay, give them the test like in a visual kind of style or hands-on kind of style. But if it's kind of a thing where it's like, and like I don't know if this is um like fine-tuned or not, but like let's say there isn't a way to tell with great accuracy, like, and it takes like 5 different tests to find out what kind of like learner or like style of testing suits a student, you
Mm.
know.
Well,
Taking 5 different types of tests just to find that out, so you can even take the normal test that you would have to take, like that's a long time.
I think that's better than what we have now. Well, maybe not better, but like, I don't know. It's really tricky to figure something out like this, but that's not that's not our job, right? But hey, it should be
Hey.
improved. Someone, whoever's out there, whoever's in charge, he should fix the
Dude, it's
fucking.
gonna be us in charge soon.
Oh, yeah, I was about to
This
say
way.
we're supposed to be the future.
Nah, wait,
So
but
if
they're
we
probably
get into
like,
that position,
like
How
the
how
people
do
at
we?
CNUSD, right? Maybe it's their job, or the people that run the whole like school
What
system.
about who's that guy who's the college board guy?
I don't think it's college. Oh,
Dude, the college board makes mad profit.
David
they need to fix their
Coleman.
tests, dude.
non-profit by the way.
David
See, look,
Coleman is the current E CEO.
if we had multiple tests and we could take multiple tests, that means more money for them, right? But we're still getting what we want because it's like a better way to test ourselves. Like, come on. I think that seems like a good idea.
I mean,
Alright, yeah.
yeah.
Alright, I'm ending my argument there then.
Alright. However, you're gonna have to pick. Oh, actually, never mind. That's not your turn. It's Esteban's turn.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about kind of similar the gifted label and why it shouldn't be used in schools anymore. And basically, I think like labeling a kid, or at least that early. I remember Miss Lum, Miss Lum made an argument about this, that it's usually creates a gap, right, between whenever they do fail, it's like really detrimental to their development, and like because all their lives they've been like labeled as this gifted dude, right, and like suddenly they're not good enough, so it's like really bad, like mentally for the student, right?
I just want to build on that. I found it kind of interesting in the video that we were shown too, how every kid brought in when they were like given that label, they felt special, and I don't know if this is just me, or if I'm like pessimistic or something, but I remember being told, like, that I was like that, and dude, like I just felt like a burden. I was like, oh,
Really?
I was like, I guess I can't slip up. I can't make mistakes. Like,
Yeah,
you still
exactly.
get those things, but like, it didn't make me feel so much special. It was just more like, okay, I guess I'm considered smart.
Yeah.
So,
It was
and it was
more
kind of
like
like a
a
burden. Like
tightrope.
it, yeah, it was kind of like, okay, I guess I can't let like teachers, like see
Yeah.
that like I'm struggling, or that like students see that I'm dumb if they need help with like, and I don't understand it either. Like,
That
and
was
it's
like
just and it's like the same problems that like those kids also had, but it's like I had that as a kid, and not like later down the line where they're saying like in like middle school. Like yeah, I still suffered from that like in middle school, but it was more of like, you know, in elementary I was like, oh, I guess I just won't do this thing because like I don't know how to do it, and I can't let anybody know that like I can't do it.
In
Adding on to that,
Oh, you go. You got it.
adding on to that, I feel like the whole like labeling people, it doesn't take into account that we're all human and we're prone to make mistakes. So when like someone's labeled gifted, they're held to a higher degree,
Yeah.
and like I said, they're not taking into account that they're not perfect, so they can make mistakes. But as I remember Miss Lum was saying, like or like in the video, it was saying how it made people feel like people who were labeled gifted, it made them feel like they couldn't reach out for help since they were gifted, and it made it harder for them. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember in elementary school I was told I was gifted, and at first I'm like, oh my god, this is the greatest day of my life, right? Because I thought I'm like, wow, I'm smart, dude, let's go. And then in middle school, I did so badly in middle school because I didn't understand like probably a quarter of the stuff we were taught, and like I would never ask anyone for help, or I would never ask a question in class because like I felt afraid to, right? And with my parents, like I'm sure they didn't mean this, but I always felt like that. They always expected me to like, oh wow, like this is like they always expected me to be like, this is so easy. I don't need
Course,
any
yeah.
help. I'm just gonna get straight A's. Like you don't even have to study. That's still how they are, but like it's just it does make me feel like extremely bad when I
Yeah,
don't understand something or I have to figure something out.
and then having that label reinforced by like your environment, like family,
Yeah.
classmates, or something else, it's kind of like you make sure like you never forget about it, and it's kind of like, oh dang, I can't go to them now because you know now they're expecting me to know it or have like this really high standard for me.
Yeah, that jump or like that jump across that gap, like in elementary or any time, or when you're young and then you're labeled as gifted, and then you jump across to say anyone who's literally moving into middle school or high school, and then seeing that there's a bunch of other people that are supposedly gifted, it doesn't mean anything anymore then, does it?
Yeah, you're right. Because you feel,
So
I think I think you feel good in middle school, or I mean not middle school, elementary, because like you're one of the
When
few
you're
kids that were
younger.
yeah,
told that.
exactly.
But then you go there and everybody else is the same as you. It's like I don't know if I felt like I wasn't special, but I actually kind of felt better about it because I don't know. It was just nice knowing that there were other people, quote unquote, as gifted as me, right? But it's like we all learned in the same way, and it felt better to be in an environment of the same people than to not, because that means we
I
were all
guess.
dealing with the same tasks.
I
I rem
remember. Oh,
Oh yeah.
oh, you want to say something?
No, you got it.
All right. So I remember being in what, first or second grade. You know, I'm just doing some classwork, and then all of a sudden they pull me into this, to the library to take a test. I didn't know what it was at the time, so I thought it was just like some random old test, right?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden I'm switching schools because now I'm in the GATE program. I'm all like, what? But I miss my old friends and stuff, you know?
Was that the
Yeah.
gifted labels problem, or was it just that your parents decided to move you?
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing, right?
Well,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
like throughout the whole thing, I don't know, I didn't feel special. I just felt no, I felt indifferent. Because
Oh.
like all of a sudden, like, oh, I gotta deal with this now. I'm in a new class now because I switched schools.
Yeah, that was the same with me in fifth grade, which is where I met Dar. I was at Norco Elementary School for 1 year, and I'm gonna be honest, I hated it. Like, I didn't know anybody.
Is it
I
dark?
was really awkward. Well, I know, not cause of Dar. I talked to Dar, and I think like one other person that I considered like to be like a good friend, but it was really hard there because just moving there, and I knew I was only gonna be there for 1 year because I was going to Rainy the next year, and it just felt that wouldn't have needed to happen. I don't think it was necessary for me to go there, but I went there because of that gifted label I got, and that's what made my parents kind of decide to go to the GATE program.
That's kind
It
of weird.
sucked.
See, because for my elementary, they just so like, because you're supposed to have projects and stuff, right? And like, it's arbitrary though, because like they'll give you the label and the system and stuff, but the teachers, at least from my school, my elementary, what they did was there was like 5 of us, right? And like I would say maybe in a class of like 30ish, like no more than 35, I would have to say, if I remember correctly, like somewhere around 32. Um, and like maybe 5 to 7 of us, maybe 8, were put in the computer lab. Like, oh, for the first assignment in this program is to like make a report on just something that you're interested in. Like they're like, for this one we're going to be doing like a mythical creature, but they never collected or turned in or anything. And like you were supposed to have a lot of projects for my school, we never did any of them, and it was just like arbitrary. So it's like an arbitrary label that some schools will like, a lot of schools will actually take a part in which you're actually supposed to turn in assignments and stuff, and then others don't. But you'll still have that label like with you.
Yeah. That's...
Where I was at, the whole year just accumulated to doing a play at the end of the year.
You're right. That's it. I think you're actually right. And
It was just like doing all the necessary classwork, and then it's playtime.
yeah, that was.
To be honest, it was pretty fun.
It was pretty fun, but like, I don't know.
I did a play every year.
Yeah.
Great.
It was
You mean like an
2
actual
years in a
like
row.
Yeah.
play?
Yeah.
I did a school play
elementary,
every year in
I did
elementary.
Yeah, that's not how it worked.
I never did a play.
It's part of. I
What?
even did a lot of dancing too.
You did?
Yeah, I did a lot of folklorico.
I'd never do that ever. Do you
I was
guys? Do you
doing
guys'
stuff.
Do you guys' parents like ever brag about you being like an IB?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I think that's more. It's more convenient for those who are giving you the label than those who are given.
What do you mean
Yeah,
by
Because
that?
like
I think so.
Like, look at
It's
my
like-
son. He's getting.
exact or like look at these kids. Like my class is full of gay kids.
You
But
know
then
what
the kid grows up. I was gay, but not anymore because everyone else is just like me.
But the same thing is done for like sports too. Like, oh, look at Mike. He's in soccer. Yeah, he plays like his team's doing really well.
Yeah, that does put a lot of it puts a lot of pressure on you. That's all it does.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly.
It's nice. It's nice when I hear like my parents saying that because like I know they're proud of me, right? But like at the same time, you know, like
You're silently insulting other people's kids
Yeah.
for
Well,
not being in the program.
I don't see it that
It's
way.
like-
My dad's just proud of me, and I know my dad. He only says it because he's proud of me, but I don't think he realizes like I don't know. Other people might interpret it differently. Like I don't.
For me, it's like Asian competition.
Yeah,
Oh.
culturally it's like
Yeah.
a
Cultural
lot different.
part. Yeah.
um,
That's a big part of it too.
That's like I don't know. That's not. It's not really culture for me. It's just like I think yeah. But I think that's just an issue with parents using their kids as like competition.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Or, like,
that's just like something
trophies.
all parents do.
Either like look at this, my son, all me.
Yeah, that's my boy.
I think that-
created this being. Look what he's doing now.
That's what some parents do. Some parents just say that because they're proud of you.
look what I created.
Yeah, they
Look what
just
it's
wanna show,
doing.
like, look
Yeah.
at my kid.
I
Look at
think,
this
yeah, like-
child.
So
Look what
kind
it's
of disgusting.
doing. I created that.
It is. Well, it is
Ew.
disgusting because like yeah, I did this. All me.
Look what I created. Look at
No,
this
but, like,
child.
I don't think that's what my parents do personally. Like they say it because they're proud of me, not to brag about me. Well, of course there's like a little bits about it bragging, right? But I know they're proud of me. It's just a different way you say it.
Or like the context that it's like
Yeah.
said in.
All right, we good on here? Or does anyone got anything else? All right, we're going back to you, James.
All right. So I wanted to talk about professionalism and mainly in like terms of the media, and we were kind of talking about it earlier with the whole like fake news stuff, but I just want to know what everyone's thoughts are on like when people when people put out fake articles and something. Usually, like it's been happening a lot more. Like whoever they're like bashing on, that person will call them out on it, and I know like some people say like yeah they should be doing that, like it's kind of exposing the people who are putting out lies. But then I've also seen the argument where like they shouldn't be doing that. Like they're just doing their jobs, and like some of the people go like out of their way to like bash on whoever's like giving out the fake news or whatever.
Because
And
they're not professional, or
they
See,
don't
I'm
see
kind
it as
of.
professional. Like I know there's the whole like the first example that comes to mind is like Elon Musk. Elon Musk and like the Wendy's Twitter. Those are the like first two I think about.
Dude,
Well,
Wendy's Twitter is like, that is absolute top tier jokes though.
Yeah.
Like, how could you not? That's great. Like, uh, what's that called? Like PR?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great PR.
well,
dude.
like any publicity is good publicity. So,
Exactly.
like,
No, but see, the thing is, I'm kind of like 50-50 on that. Because at one end, it's like, yeah, call people out. Like, at least, like, those that put out fake news. Because that's kind of like slander to some extent.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, don't go so far as, like, calling them out, but then use, like, some,
Yeah, and you just don't
Like-
stop.
just put, like, some, like not so friendly language in there, you know? Like, just make a simple statement of, like, it's a lie, this is the article, do as you please. Like, for me, that, like, me personally, I think that's fine, because if they slander you, let them take the harassment, because that is their, like, not so much as a harassment in the sense as, like, send people over there to, like, purposely harass, but, like, show the article. If people do what they do, then, like, that's, like, other people's decision. But spreading the article and saying this guy's fake news should be done, because one, it takes away a lot of credibility from that publisher or author, which I think is important if they're doing something that extreme, like as much as fake news or even slandering. And two, they too are supposed to be professional in a sense, so it's a two-way street. But some people can get pushed, and then they end up like actually like publicizing, like, to attack other people. And then for me, that's kind of like crossing a really big line, because now that's personal health.
yeah, there's some quote unquote news sources that they present the information and then they give their opinion on it, which I don't think is a bad thing as long as you clarify which is which.
Yeah.
Like, if you say, all right, like the news is blah 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 blah, and then you say, in my opinion, that I think that's perfectly fine. You just need to make sure that you separate the two, and not put your opinion in the official news, and well, not really vice versa, but you know.
That's why you
Or
see all the
just-
news sources like getting political commentators on everything.
Yeah.
Or
That
even
stuff's-
just like making a separate article and like just for your own opinion even.
Well, I don't think that's necessary. You could just maybe there should be like a section in each article where you can put your own opinion.
Because
Like
I
at
mean,
the
like,
end or something.
to be fair, when someone reads all the information and then you see like the author's opinion underneath it,
Mm-hmm.
like how we were saying earlier, like, does that go into like people not being able to form their opinion because it's like one is already given to them?
I don't think so, because that's first off, that's not the purpose, right? If there's a separate section for your opinion, the purpose of that is just to give your own opinion. If you put it in the official like news, if you put your own opinion in there, then
Yeah,
it
like-
makes it seem like you're forcing your opinion on them.
Yeah, if you were like basing it on your opinion.
Yeah. That's why they need to be. I think they should do that. I think I should make the news.
Like all our argument essays we write.
Yeah, and like, you know how in World or Euro, whatever last year, we did like there were document-based questions, and then we get a document, and then we see who it's written by, and then you can do like a POV, like, oh, this person that wrote this Christian, so obviously he'd be against this. I feel like people need to do that more. Well, you don't need to do like research on the article, but if there's a separate opinion section, then they can look at the tone of the article and the opinion. Like, if the opinion's really strong hatred and you see some like negative things in the newspaper article, then you can kind of assume maybe it isn't that bad because they're obviously pretty upset about this.
Yeah, like, to add on to that, yeah, like, it's always just like a good habit and practice to just take like all perspectives possible, and to a degree, to find out like, okay, like how do they get this information? Where do they find it out from? Is there any past history or whatever? You know, just to kind of get more context before you get, because it's like like if you get like even information and stuff, right, with a full context or whatever. I believe it's still important to know what the context is before that of like whoever's writing it, because it could have an effect on the way that they present it, or even like what they chose to like show and not show.
Yeah. Well, then again, then that's like that's writing an essay question. Then, like that's what we
Well,
do.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, like that's just like doing a lot of extensive research before like to formulate an opinion, though.
That's true. That'd probably help out, but I doubt every like author is gonna be willing to do that. They're probably just gonna go in and do whatever they want.
Oh, I'm talking about like the reader itself.
Oh.
Like,
Oh yeah.
like with when they say when they see info, like even with like context given, it's like, oh, this person did this. Like let's say like a article says like, oh, this person did this because of this, right? Like the full context is given for that information. They should find extra context for that like context.
That.
So it's
Yeah.
like they can find out like, oh, like if there's any other pieces of information that we're missing, but they decided to omit because they went like somewhat against whatever opinion they had. So that's how they presented.
All right. Moving on to our last topic, I think. Yeah, this is a nice topic to wrap it up. I don't think it'll take too long. Nano, your last topic. What do you got? Or do you
So-
remember what it is?
My last topic. This is extremely, like, I guess, techie. But it's like the idea of Moore's law. I believe it's how it's pronounced.
Blu-ray's law.
Moonres. And it's the idea that technology always doubles with every 2 years.
What do you mean by technology doubling? Like the
And
use?
then no, it's the
No, he
like
means,
the
like,
power base
advancement,
essentially.
Yeah.
Because it's measured in transistors, and I won't explain that. Like, but basically, it's just like more components. Basically, it's just like more components get added, and stuff. And S1 and I always have a conversation about this. How like people will be like, "Oh, when is this thing going to be developed or whatever?" But it's kind of like, it's like if people kind of like looked at like how technology is developed, it's insane. Of like just to get one, like let's say, like piece of like future technology that's like an idea, right? Let's say teleportation, like just a wild example, right? They have to create so much other technology for that to come to like to make it into a reality. But you look at it now, it's like, dude, it's a possibility that they can even have that within like the next 10 years. Not saying that it will, because like I said, it's a wild example.
Yeah.
But it's like people look at like final products and stuff, but it's like if you really get into like the nitty gritty of it, it's like it's insane at the pace that stuff moves at.
Do you think it'll ever like? Do you think there will be a point where it like slows down? Like.
I think so.
I feel like it would, but it would be under like a situation, like say, back to the teleporting thing. Like we know it's not something like easy that can be done. So in terms of like that subject, I feel like it doesn't follow Moore's law.
I
Well,
mean,
Moore's law
get
is
what
just a
I'm saying.
general thing.
it's a
but-
general thing, but like I think it's since like the 60s or something, or like the 80s. I don't remember, something between that, and it's still going on today. So
What do you
it's-
think is happening like soon? Like, what do you think is gonna be able to be developed soon that's not already?
dude, like almost level 5 self-driving cars is almost possible.
Oh yeah, people are getting on that right now.
Because Tesla are going to start making their own stuff for it, because Nvidia, which is the company that's been providing that kind of hardware for them, I think they were just saying that like having a partnership with them is good and all, but it just kind of slows down the way that they're able, like the pacing of their like roadmap, I guess. So they will want to start doing it on themselves. But you look at it, it's like it's insane. Like, how many
Yeah.
years have like almost full self-driving cars have we had? Like, not that long.
It's been
But
pretty
but
recent.
then but then like when it hits you, it's like you're like, oh, that's kind of crazy. Like how much like cheaper and more affordable it can get because it's like it's advancing.
Yeah.
But like when you're waiting for that technology, it feels like forever because you're just like, oh man, when is it gonna come? But then once it comes, since you've already been expecting it, it's kind of like you don't think like twice about it. It's kind of just like, yeah, that's just the normal.
That's all we've been living through, really. Like since we've been born, like that was, and then it's been like really growing since we've been born. Like
Yeah.
I remember stuff that's here right now I didn't have when I was, well, of course I didn't because I was younger, but like it's such like a huge gap between what was available when I was born, between what's available now. Like all half the stuff in my room, I'm pretty sure like if I if I wanted this type of stuff, I wouldn't have been able to do like when I was 5.
Like
But now it's like,
another example that I can think of actually that's like pretty relevant is that like 4K TVs.
oh
They
yeah,
they've been around I think since 2000. I want to say 8 through 10. Like that's my like 2 year gap. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure they've been around for like since then, right? But like once they came in, they were expensive, and like like you basically had to be like high society to buy them. Now, dude, you can buy them for so cheap. It's like like there's no reason, like if you have the money, like to not get like a 4K TV with all the special added functionality of like streaming services already added onto it.
I think VR's come up like around that same time, huh? Because I don't remember seeing much about that when I was like it's still in elementary school, but now it's everywhere.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, we have it in classrooms now too and everything.
it's like
My career path.
Same.
because it's like the technology is introduced, but no one looks at kind of like the refinements that it's made. Like another one could even be like Touch ID.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, that
if you go
yeah.
back to an old phone that had it, it's so slow compared to today's
Yeah.
standard.
That's very true. Where you said like people or like when you say or when you ask like when would this come out, it's like you don't take into account of all the refinements that have already happened. It's like when people expect something to come out, they expect something huge,
Yeah,
but you don't really see all the small things that are happening. But
Yeah,
they're
they
all
just
big.
all they like think about is just like the main like outcome. They don't think about all
Yeah,
the parts
progress.
that go into it.
like even animation, dude. Like think of like Toy Story and stuff. The only reason they made Toy Story is because they couldn't animate humans, like to make them look like not like plastic. And now we
Oh
have
yeah,
now we have films like Coco, and it's like
it's a massive improvement.
like keeping in mind like yeah, it's software, but that, like it has to be rendered somehow. And how is that rendered and simulated? Through the hardware. So it's like whoa, we've had animation for so long, but like not recently, but for like a good time now, like it's getting a lot better to the point where we can watch like uh like movies like Avengers Infinity War even.
Yeah,
And it's like, whoa, this stuff looks kind of cool. But it's like there's a lot of like green screen effects and like visual effects. It's crazy.
it's
It,
gonna be really weird seeing what's like available to us like when we exit college. Like there's gonna be
dude.
a lot more than what we have right now.
Eh.
Maybe. Well, I don't mean like all duplicating humans.
Well,
Like
yeah, but I feel like I don't. I mean, I'm not entirely sure, but or maybe I've just gotten used to technology or like the developments happening. But I feel like the way Moore's law describes it, I think it's a lot like obviously when there's no technology, having technology is going to be more noticeable than when we're already developing technology.
Yeah.
Advancements aren't going to be as noticeable. But I think that's probably just what I think. But
Yeah, like you won't notice it until you like go back and compare it, kind of
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
Because it just
It's
keeps
like
on
it
getting
feels like I
refined.
don't really see anything new every day because I've already seen it. But if you like read deeper, it's like
yeah, like
it's every day is closer to like the final product.
yeah, like what my parents have always like. Everyone's parents have said this, back in my day. Like they didn't have like anything close to this when they were kids,
Right.
and now it's just a huge
Yeah.
spur. we might be saying the same thing to our kids. Maybe duplicating humans will happen in like 50 years.
My
Like,
kid
back
wants
in
to
my,
be stupid. I'll
Yeah.
just edit a new one.
yeah, exactly.
It's truly like a mind boggle if you just look back at it.
Yeah,
There's
That's
this
crazy.
video. There's this video I saw that said there's gonna be like a limit to silicone's like potential.
Yeah.
So they have to like move on to this thing called gallium oxide.
Yeah, I saw something like I saw an article that I didn't know it was gallium oxide. I just remember an article saying that like very vaguely it was like it's running out of its main supply, so they have to find other supplies. So it's like, you know, with that new like supply again, that's gonna be impossible. That's gonna take the possible place of silicon. It's like how much farther can that even advance everything else? You know?
Wait, are you talking about? Because I heard something similar, but for lithium-ion batteries.
Oh yeah, there's that thing too. But I mean, yeah, it's like
Yeah, like exhausted materials. It's just gonna bring every new possibility, right?
yeah, like once you exhaust the normal supply and they have to find new ones, how much further is that new supply gonna be able to like keep technology going?
Yeah. And then who knows? They might find something better after that.
Exactly.
That's crazy. All right. Hey, how we doing on time?
We can just wrap up and do final thoughts.
All right,
This
sick.
one.
So, my final thought, right? This is gonna be the last time I sound this happy, because next podcast, right?
Oh,
Everyone,
God.
we're all gonna be back at school. I guarantee we're all gonna sound a lot more tired than we do right now. But yeah, we're doing this bi-weekly, by the way.
Oh yeah. We're gonna have a new schedule. It'll be bi-weekly instead of weekly. That way we'll still have focus on school, but also
And our
we'll have
health.
more interesting topics to talk about.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a lot of stuff to talk about.
So, anyone have any other final thoughts they would like to add?
Nice final thought.
What a
dude, you
thought.
suck.
Yeah.
Yo, what a thought, dude.
All right. I guess that ends it.
All right, goodbye.
Goodbye.
In like 2 weeks, dude. Bye.